This isn't the correct
I'm
meeting.
not hearing you, Jody.
Oh, I'm here. Okay.
So am I.
I'm not hearing Jim either. Okay. It's on my bad.
So
Hey
Jim,
there.
this isn't the meeting
Let me see
ID
what
that
I
I
got.
emailed you.
Yeah, this is the one.
So I'm not hearing that right now. Let me
Jody?
reset my audio.
This is the one that has Acorn as the passcode.
Huh. This is
I wonder if other people are stuck in
Jody,
the other.
a moment ago, you sent me an email and I
Yeah.
replied, is this the link that, no, this is different?
Very different.
Bizarre.
I went to the other one as well. I went to the one that was in the email.
Yeah.
And your meeting ID and your Acorn, and it didn't get in.
Son of a
This
gun.
one I did meeting ID and Acorn, and this is what worked.
Well, this is happening multiple times, so that's on me for something. I don't know what I've done that programmed it to do these kind of things, but I apologize for that.
It's nice to see you guys.
Nice to
Yes.
see you.
I hope everybody's not sitting in the other room though, because that was the one dated today,
Yeah.
but it didn't work.
I'm gonna see what I can do to double check that. Let's see. Lisa Marie's phone has joined this meeting. And
Yeah, Jim, I'm in the car. I apologize, but
Yeah,
I gotta
no
pick up
worries.
my goddaughter, so I'm just gonna listen today.
no worry, I'm gonna do a start meeting on the other to see what happens.
Okay.
On the other email that I got from Robin, but I'm gonna stay with you guys, so don't log out. I just want to see what it's bringing me to. Allow, okay. So do your job, Zoom. Nope. Well, I'm
Responding to
staying right here.
Rich.
I'm good with this.
Now, I don't know which one I'm in right now. Actually, I think from the email. Did you come in late at all? Anybody?
I did.
Okay, that's maybe why I stayed in till two after 2, jumped out thinking it was not right.
Well,
But I think I came back into the same meeting.
Yeah. Zoom didn't automatically log me in and ask me to reset my password. You know, so there's something going on. That's for darn sure. Well,
let me send Rich the login because he's not in either.
Okay.
Let me see here.
Cool. Have you noticed, I don't know if I've sent it to you guys yet or not, but if you noticed the change that I'm adding for the next go round of Going Pro?
What's the change?
The next one is, it starts May 12th. But on that one, which is going to be May, June, July, instead of a weekend in Austin, National Speakers Convention.
Oh, wow.
And what I'm doing is I'm paying the enrollment at the NSA convention, which is like $1,600 for the people who enroll in the next go round. And during
Wow.
NSA, I'm going to meet with them every morning and do a overview of the day, help them select the sessions they're going to go to, help them talk about, who they want to meet and who they ought to listen to and who they shouldn't, and that kind of thing. And then when it's over, I'm going to do a debrief with them for 2 more Zoom meetings, which takes it up to the end of July. Hey, Trigger. That way it's going to be enormously impactful. I mean,
Wow,
I could
that's
never
huge.
put together a program like that. Trigger, I don't know if you heard what I was just saying.
Nope, I came on the tail end.
What's that?
I came in on the tail end, so.
Okay. For the next go round of Going Pro, I'm paying enrollment at NSA Influence for the people who enroll with me.
Okay.
And so during NSA, I will be their on-site guide. See, Lisa Marie did that last year.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to Nashville, and each day I met with her and a few other people. and we would have breakfast together and talk about the day and about the options. And then everybody that wanted to could puppy dog me. And because I was involved in, as usual, in all these committees and boards and things like that, and they could go in between those to where I was going, and I'd introduce them. And Lisa wanted to get her picture made with Patricia Fripp and with Nito Kubain and a few others like that. So that was cool, being able to pull that off.
Nice. Congratulations.
And it just seems like
That's
such
awesome.
a natural resource and so much more powerful than the Austin experience, because of all the moving parts and all the power players involved in it. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Very cool.
there you go. Yeah. So this is your day for highlighting what you want to focus on and getting you a hot seat moment, during today's meeting that you hadn't had up to now necessarily. So Jody, you're in the driver's seat for this one. You're first up. You get to call the shots as to what you need from us and how we can be most helpful to you today.
Well, I do really appreciate that. And first and foremost, I want to thank all of you. I have learned so much and I've enjoyed myself so much and love seeing everyone's creativity and all of the different things that you all are doing. It's been amazing.
Dynamite.
I
Thank you for
definitely
saying that.
appreciate the things that you've introduced me to, Udly, and some other tools that I didn't know existed. So these are all great tools for me. And my goal here has been to get clarity and to not rush my way there, because I'm not in a terrible hurry to write a book or create a course or do these things. But I am trying to figure out the right direction for me and for what makes sense. And I still have not figured it out. I am still, trying to process and figure out what's best. My stores are doing incredibly well. My clients are doing well. My products are doing well. That's a little bit of a distraction from me figuring out this other angle here, but it's a very good distraction because we're doing
Certainly
really well.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, your sound is better today.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have blankets and pillows all around me.
That may be it. Who knows? Yep.
So I guess my question for you is, I'm going to be going to the Influence National Speakers Association in Orlando.
Good.
Very excited about it.
You
And
can
I'd
hang
like to
with us,
know-
by the way.
I would love to. I would love to
Yeah.
know, how can I get the most out of this based on the fact that I'm still trying to figure out what direction I want to go in over the next 5 years. I'm just creating my 5-year plan now. I would love to know what feedback you have for me. I have been in the vault. I've been looking at other people's presentations, what the NSA does, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, my advice is you go to NSA with a suspension of your previous impressions of what NSA is. Because NSA, if you've only gone to local or regional chapters, is a very different experience than if you've gone to the national convention. If you've gone to the national convention 10 years ago, but not recently, likewise, it's quite a different experience. But this one should be powerful because it's the 50-year anniversary or birthday of NSA. And there's going to be a lot of legacy and history presented right alongside brand new cutting edge what's going on today. Here's why I go to NSA. And by the way, I say this to the people who are speakers that are active on the platform and doing well, who tell me, yeah, I'm past that. I don't need NSA. I'm better than them, is the translation. I tell them, if I were a doctor and I were the best doctor in my niche, I'd still go to the AMA meetings to find out what's going on in the medical profession. If I were a lawyer, I'd still go to the ABA meetings, et cetera. NSA is not a school for wannabe speakers. It is an assembly of the practitioners and those aspiring to be more of a practitioner in the field of our involvement. So I go to NSA every year and have for 40 plus years, since 1977, 78. I joined in 76. I go to the convention every year because I want to know what is the state of the art today. What are all the different players doing? What are the 1,000 options I never considered for doing what I do differently? Because there are people there, you're going to sit in an audience and hear a speaker give a compelling case for why you should give up keynote speaking altogether and only do online mentorship. And you're going to say, my God, they're right. I must. And then you go to the next session and they say, the only thing I do is keynote speaking, and here's how it works. And man, is it easier than that online mentoring. And you think, they're absolutely right. I must change my life. And you get, and it's right, Robin? I mean, tell me, Trigger, is that your experience? You just walk out of each session saying, dang, I got to rethink everything.
You will drink from a fire hose of experts, and all of them do believe, like Jim said, they all believe they have cracked the secret code. Every one of them believes that. Now, when you meet in the hallway, that's the secret sauce of NSA. The hallway, the table conversations, breaking away. But then you're really going to hear them, and you're going to hear other people. And that's the magic of NSA. That's what I love, is the community. Yes, you're going to get great stuff from the stage. And especially for the 50-year anniversary coming up this time, they're pulling out all of the stops. This is going to be fire hose on high octane fire hose.
Yeah.
But the hallway and sitting around, getting out of some of the breakout groups and being with people just in the hallway, that's the gold. That's where you're going to get more connections, real insights, real struggles, what's working where and why, and not just the high level stuff.
And the same thing's true, by the way, in the exhibit booths.
Yes.
Every one of those exhibit booths makes a compelling case for their approach.
I'll have one.
Yeah, and a good one too. And so as you go through the expo, which is not going to be huge, but it's going to be valuable, you will learn lots of things, and you'll see tons of cool tools. Like Story, STORYY.co. That's a new app. And Devin Gillen, I met with him this morning, and he was with me in my audience and at lunch with me in Oregon last week. And he just took one of my videos and cut it into pieces and did a cool little series of 3 1-minute, I don't know, samples, taste tests of it that I can put on Instagram. So I did. It's amazing what he does. And then you go to Be Known, which is Daniel Pope and Jacob Eliason. And what they do is great. And it on and on. Michael Butler will have Beyond Publishing there, and then there'll be Book Baby, and there'll be leadership books, and then there will be e-speakers and all these.
Yeah.
And so you just gotta do your shopping as if you're in a Neiman Marcus and everything fits.
We had under 20, we had under 20 at the winner, and they told me they were shooting for 50 to 60 vendor booths for the national.
Yeah.
And they were on pace for it.
Wow. Yes.
You know what I found to be true is that, Jim, what you were talking about earlier, how the different mindsets from a speaker that's doing courses or mentorship, and then others are keynote speakers, each one of them are right.
That's correct.
Relevant to them, whatever that situation might be. It doesn't have to apply to you, but you'll see that there's a lot of success going on in a lot of different categories. I know I haven't been in the last few years, and so a lot of the newer course creator people have probably come in stronger than what it was when I was last there. But yeah, it's a lot to take in. And Rich, to talk about being in the hallways, that's always a lot of fun. But I found is that not everybody's truthful and how well they're doing. So you have to take some of that with a little bit of a grain of salt that, they didn't have 75 dates at, $18,000 a year this last year. They maybe had whatever. 10 at 15.
NSA doesn't have as much money this year. NSA went through quite a gauntlet and sold off the headquarters building that we had built over so many years, and the conference center.
Yeah,
And
now everyone's virtual now. Everyone's
yeah,
completely
and
virtual.
it's all virtual in different cities, the staff. And so
Wow.
NSA is profoundly different, although they still have a few $1 million in the foundation. So they're able to give scholarships and do those things. But NSA's operational budget, I think poor decisions were made along the way and put themselves in a crisis position they had to rebound from. And COVID just made it that much worse.
Well, they also had
Yeah.
some legal conversation because the online community has become a very big thing.
Yeah.
And over the course of the last year, the lawyers got in and said, you give them all the right to use the name NSA, right? Shame on you, because now they're independent groups, use the name NSA legally, and anything that comes back with those groups that goes haywire reflects back on the national
yeah.
NSA, the real NSA, but also legally because they
Well,
gave them the NSA.
I wasn't aware that they had given
Yes.
up that right because
Yeah,
we
so-
were very diligent about retaining that right for the longest time. When
Well,
we first, go ahead.
No, that's where the line got blurry. So
Yeah.
I know they had conversation with the lawyer. I was in the NSA groups talking. What they did was they said you can be an unofficial NSA group, still use a logo, but you have to be unofficial. And they have only earmarked a select few to be official NSA groups now.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of changes that have taken a lot of hits.
Yep. When we decided to form chapters in 1981, we were in St. Louis in a board meeting, and there was a big debate over it because the chapters wanted to be completely independent and yet have all the benefits of NSA. So they wanted to use our name, our logo, they wanted to use our reputation, but they didn't want any restrictions on what they did. And they wanted to be able to have people join their chapter for, say, $40 and not have to join NSA. And so for $40, you could say, I'm a member of NSA, put their logo on your brochure and all that kind of, and we said, so there was a lot of heated dialogue and lawyers got involved, and we finally got that calmed down for a season, but it sounds like it snuck under the fence and reared its lovely head again.
So you had the Facebook type groups, the virtual groups that they had to re-wrangle. And then you have the actual physical groups that you're talking about, the ones that are in DC, the one in San Antonio. That's a whole different beast. But the overall reason that I got involved with NSA was the people.
Yeah.
I want to be in the right room with the right place with that people. The stage will always wow you. You're always going to have that wow factor.
Yeah.
As professionals, we get beyond that. And it's really about being in the right room.
Yeah. And let's talk for a moment about the hallways. I was speaking at a conference in Vegas one time, and I heard some people say before the keynote, before I delivered my address, they said, the real value of this is in the hallways, and you don't need to go to the main sessions. You just need to show up and work the hallways. And I've known people over the years who at NSA have not registered, but they got a room in the hotel, and then they just hung out in the hallways. And I thought about it a lot. And so that day in Vegas, I got on stage and I said, how many of you would agree with me the real value of this conference and others like it is in the hallways? And I put my hand up, and of course, hands went up all over the room. And I say, you know why the hallway conversations are so valuable? Because of the keynotes and the breakouts and the other things that are going on. Because if it weren't for those, it would just be a gathering of people in this industry. Nothing would be directing the topics of the day. Nothing would be kind of coagulating different views and presenting a clarity on how to approach whatever it happens to be, like product development or message refinement or platform performance or whatever. The main stage and the other stages determine what happens in the hallways. And so there is value to both, and one without the other is incomplete.
So Jody, I'm kind of curious, what are you wanting to get out of it? Besides what you've heard from us, what do you need at this time that is going to help you by going to maybe 1,000 people, 800 people, all speakers, all influencers. What are you really wanting?
That's the whole issue I'm having, is figuring out exactly what direction I want to go into. I think that with all the artificial intelligence, the world is going to change very rapidly right now.
Yes.
And we could all be replaced instantly because people can write their own speeches by just asking ChatGPT to write their speech for them. Now, the stories, those are what are the goals. And I've got a ton of stories, and artificial intelligence will never have my stories and the value they have brought me and the people that surround me.
Unless you write a book, then they may.
I already wrote a book. I just haven't published it.
Yeah.
I keep
just
questioning
read it.
whether I want to publish.
I just read an article that said that there are 3 million books a year published in the United States. I remember years ago, 1982, I was in San Diego at the Winter NSA convention, and Tony Alessandra and I had a private meeting with Og Mandino, who wrote The Greatest Salesman in the World. And at the time, he was still the president of Success Unlimited magazine, owned by W. Clement Stone, who was the personal manager and partner of Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich. So I was 1 degree of separation away from Napoleon Hill. Wow. And Tony and I are sitting in an empty meeting room with Og, and we told him we were writing a book together, and he said, "Don't do it. Don't do it." He said, "Man," he said, "the worst experience of my life was co-authoring a book called The Gift of Akbar with a guy named Peter Kay or something like that." He said, "Just the worst experience of my life. Write your own individual books." And we said, "No, we're pretty much committed to, we're doing this together." He said, "Well," of course, his style of writing, I understand why that didn't work for him. But for us, it worked great. Anyway, what he told us at that time was, he said, "Guys, did you know that 40,000 books a year are published in the United States?" And we said, "Wow, that many?" Well, today is 3 million a year, 2.3 million of which are self-published. And the average book doesn't sell more than 300 copies. And the average book combined with ebook, audiobook, and the printed books doesn't sell more than 1,000 copies. And the average book's odds of getting into a bookstore and on their shelf is 1%.
Books are now
Or
lead
less.
magnets, they're brand authority elevators, they're tools to give away to get somebody in a conversation,
Yeah.
but they are not to make money.
Well, and here's
They're
another,
business cards.
yeah, here's
they are.
another
They really are.
fascinating fact. In the last 20 years, the book buying, the consuming of books has not increased. It's been at about 25 million over all that time. It went up slightly during 2021, obviously because of COVID, but back to the norm in 22. So, and that's over a 20-year period. Man. So, books today are not what books were. It's not your daddy's Oldsmobile, right? This is,
But I still think they have value from a branding standpoint. I mean, Jim Cathcart, the author of 25 books, that says so much, and someone might not ever read one page.
Yeah.
But even if you have one book, it shows a lot. I think that's so valuable.
Let's look at what books will do. And I agree, books are absolutely a great idea still today. First thing is credentialing. They establish you as an authority on the subject you took the time to research and write about and publish. Second, it's a killer business card. When you can give someone an ebook or a printed book, it's a great business card. And what advantage the printed book gives you is it sits there on the shelf and reminds you of its existence. So it's shelf help. And at the same time, it's easy to navigate. And you can put tabs in it and think, if you had to go through here, let me find it. Let's see, where did I put that? Oh, it's in my books. Okay, book, let's see, gosh. and then, and then you end up fidgeting too much to get it. Whereas with a physical book, you could say, okay, I've got a bookmark. There it is. There's that quote from Robin Kriesman I was talking about. So it's got that. At the same time, it's a workbook for your presentations, or it's a handbook if you're doing coaching and taking people through the chapters. It's the workbook that goes along with your video series if you create one, or your audio series, or your podcast. I mean, the multiple uses of it are just phenomenal.
Well, the book now can become your podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's part of the media empire that I talk about. It's one slice of it. Don't hang your hat all on it, but it is one of the slices you need to have that well-rounded media empire, because we're not just speakers anymore. We are now people that are experts speaking on the subject matter, and we have our different tools we use to amplify it. That's how much the game has changed.
Yeah, it has radically changed. So Jody, I would direct you back, not trying to get an answer right now, but to guide your thinking, direct you back to all of the thought processes that you went through at the early part of this process. Look at the what do you want video once again, and go through that process of what one thing, looking at all your options and putting them on the spreadsheet and so forth. But doing that will probably help crystallize some of your thinking about what appeals to you most, because you don't have to want anything that already exists. Whatever you want is what you want. And if there's some manifestation of that someone else is doing, like Robin or Trigger or whatever, then cool, but it didn't have to be there. Robin.
And I would add that first thing that I did, I was told to do, and I've suggested to others, and I continue to do when I was going, is get the brochure or the program and go through all the breakouts, because there are some great speakers that are leading breakouts that aren't on the main stage.
Yes.
And I think, NSA has been so diligent about teaching how to do titles and so forth. I think most people that are doing the breakouts have designed those titles to win, meaning that there's 50 breakouts. I want to make sure that I'm one of the 5 that people are going to go to. So their titles should jump off the page at you to say, yes, I need that. There'll be some that great speakers doing it. They're going to go, oh, you need to see, JoJo or whoever, but that's not in your lane. Go to the topics that are going to be valuable to do. And in the first 5 to no more than 10 minutes, if you're not getting value in those first 10 minutes, if it's all about the speaker, then you get out. Because a lot of these folks get that opportunity, but they use that platform now to kind of have their wow moment. And if you can't get into the topic in a breakout that is designed to be tangible, it's not an entertainment, it's not a keynote piece, to be tangible, then you move to your second choice for that hour, because they all overlap. But that would be the very first thing that I would suggest to do. And notate, be at every general session, be at every main session for sure. In the big room, make sure you're there for all of those.
And that was one of the tips I was going to say too. The other thing I would say is go to NSA main website. They have a bunch of the menu, a bunch of the speakers already up there, and they keep sharing more about there. Make a list of who you want to talk to. Literally go through and say, I would like to meet this person, and cherry pick them based on what you want, what you think, what you're looking for. And then there's also a search function on speakers, and make a list of who you want to talk to for the general speakers, because they may be there. And if you have that pre-list, you definitely can go meet them.
Yeah. In the past, they had a list of everyone who was registered. So when you went to the meeting, you could either digitally, and it'll probably be in the speaker app for the meeting app. So there will be an on-site app for you to navigate the meeting. And you go in, you fill out your little one-page profile and identify the things you want to do, and it'll remind you and do all kinds of cool things. But it also should, if it's like the past, have a list of everybody else who's here. So it helps you isolate those folks.
If they sign in and register through the app. Some people do not, because they don't want to be found.
Correct.
But yes, you do have to log in yourself, say, hi, The other thing that Jim was talking about if those first several minutes you're not getting the value, get out of there. NSA is trying to do better because they want to put tools in your utility belt, because I've had people just get up there and blab and you don't walk away with anything. They have really been spending time saying, if you're going to get to stage, you're going to give us something we can take home, actionable, something practical. It's no more of just rah pep talk speeches and they all go away with photos. They're really saying, you have to show us what you're going to give our people.
And it's important to avoid the, I don't know what's a good word to characterize them, but the skeptics in the hallway, they're saying, yeah, I tried, and they're cynical about some aspect of NSA that they're not up to date on either. And it's so many people I've met over the years and known and worked with have said to me at various times, yeah, I went to NSA, but it wasn't for me. And, I say, is the profession for you? Yeah. So what you're saying is you didn't connect with the other people and you didn't navigate the information in a way that was satisfying for you. Well, no, it's just NSA, I'm past that. You obviously don't know what's there. It's like the people that say, well, I don't believe in whatever, 7 habits of highly effective people because, I tried one of those habits and it didn't work. Have you read the book? Well, no, I saw the book, or it's like Ken Blanchard used to have people, they'd get on the air and they'd criticize him and his book. They'd say, 1 minute manager, get real. You can't manage an organization in 1 minute. Well, clearly they hadn't read the book and didn't get the concept. They were criticizing a phrase and their interpretation of it. And the same thing happens at NSA. And you'll have people say, nah, I don't go to the main sessions because all of them, and they tell you all these things that aren't true, but it's all based on their cynical point of view. I say absolutely don't miss, like Trigger said, don't miss the general sessions and get there at the beginning. Why? Because the general session in the printed program is going to say, this is featuring Robin Kriesman on how to rock the stage. Okay. Fine. And it's going to show that Robin and Trigger are doing a what do you call it? Handoff thing. Tag team. That's what I'm looking for. Robin and Trigger are doing a tag team presentation that'll blow your minds. Be there. And it starts at 9 o'clock. And so people come in at 9 and they're not in their seats until like 9:15. And the first 15 minutes was 2 creative openers, a special presentation from Leonard Nimoy of the Spock Trophy to Jody Rifkin, and
Jim and Robin did a duet.
Yeah. And it was all in the first 5 to 15 minutes. And then here's your main show. Well, it said on the program that the main show. Yeah, but don't think so limited. Go to the general session and soak it all in, because there's going to be a lot more that's not in the program that'll amaze you. And even the things they do poorly can serve as a bad example, right?
Well, and winter was a great example because opening night, we had 2 speakers that had never spoken on a keynote in a major auditorium at all. Both of them.
Yeah.
They both crushed it. Absolutely crushed it.
Excellent.
And NSA made a statement that night of, we've had a lot of great people that are known. We're still going to use them, but we want to hear about the next generation, people that are up and coming and what they're learning now. And it set a different tone at Thrive, having those people walk up and say, this is my first time on a major stage. What am I doing?
Literally first time before a large audience.
And they crushed it.
Jim, do you remember, I don't remember what year it was probably 8 years ago or more, that this really sweet lady came on stage. There were 3 people. They were doing like 10 or 15 minutes.
I already know before you tell the story.
Yeah. Tell it.
Okay. We were in San Diego. And as a matter of fact, I came out with my guitar and did
that's right.
little bit when I'm 64. And
Yes.
and I was doing that as an intro for Ken Dykewald, who was doing Age Wave, talking about generational impact. Yeah, and later in the program, and I can see her face. I'll think of her name. She's a like Korean or
Yes.
Asian
Yes.
woman, small woman, and she had been involved. She was CSP. She had been involved in NSA for a long time, and she came out to do her thing, and she froze. I mean, literally froze. And we looked at her and we gave her encouraging sounds and applause and all that, and someone else came out on stage with her and asked her a question and all that, and she just she just had an emotional crisis on the inside and nothing going on the outside. And so she left the stage, and people were nice about it. And throughout the convention, everybody came up to her and said, "Hey, oh man, I've been there, years ago." Go ahead.
Well, she got a standing ovation as she left. You remember? Because
Yeah.
they were so supportive of her. That's one thing I loved so much about NSA. There was not judgment.
No,
There was,
But-
bless your heart, I've been there. We applaud you. Thank you for staying strong. Type of. They didn't say those
but
words. But that's
were
what it
you
basically-
aware that they brought her back at the end of the conference?
Yes, yes, and she did it.
Yeah.
And that's when she got the standing ovation.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when it was.
Yeah.
What was her topic about?
I don't know. Whatever it was,
Not memorable,
it was going to be a
apparently.
little 5 to 10 minute bit that she was going to do.
The
And
sound
for
of
some
silence.
reason, she got it into her emotional bag somehow, and just did some really, really poor self management. And it's
Did you hear Rich?
horrible.
Did you hear what Rich said?
What did he say?
He said it was the sound of silence.
Oh yeah, the sounds of yeah, I heard that, but yeah.
He chose.
That was
He
her
chose to
topic.
ignore me. He chose to.
Hello, darkness,
Jody,
my
I got another
friend.
recommendation for you. I've got an app from a company called Hi Hello. This is my digital business card. When I was at Influence and other places, I don't go through paper anymore. They open up my phone, I talk to them. It's digital. I get everything, and people are like blown away. They're like, "Holy crap, you got that?" And then I literally have their email, their phone number right away. I don't have to go dig up another card, type it all in. It's right here, and it's touchless.
Yep.
You need something like that because the conversation you're going to have, you don't want to have to fumble and mumble. You just want to be talking, and they'll go dibble, dip, 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 and we just keep going.
One
And
of
I did the same
concerns-
thing.
Oh, that's nice.
JimCathcart.com. Ken Walls did this for me. And it's
I'm
got
trying to open mine.
share my contact right there and all my social media and my TED Talk. And, I think I've shown you this before, but it's got a link to Amazon,
Yeah, I've got links of all my different
my
stuff.
books,
Yeah.
and links for my podcast and payment links and links to sign up for a scheduled phone call with me. Yeah. So
That's
Those-
great.
These are powerful tools.
So this is one of my
Indeed.
concerns is the trade shows that I've attended in the past. Everybody wants to scan my badge and market everything to me, and I get hounded, and I don't usually use my main email address when I go to these conventions because it just litters my inbox for years, even when you try to unsubscribe. Have you found that people are getting your email address and just marketing you like crazy? Do I have to be concerned about that?
So with Hi Hello, I can make as many versions of my card as I want. So I can have a dummy account, like you're saying, and have it be, yeah, I'll scan it, but it's a separate trash can account if you want to use it for that. And then you go through and keep what you want, delete what you can't, and it doesn't go into your other accounts.
yeah.
Very easy to do that. So that way you can capture it, but you're not going to get bombarded forever. And I have not gotten bombarded. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time with NSA, and I have not gotten hit. I mean, it's just I don't know why. Maybe they don't like me. They don't put me on their mailing list, but I haven't got overly banged up by it.
I don't either.
Wow.
I'm
They
really
just want to
engaged when
sell
I'm
to
there.
me like crazy. Everybody wants to sell to me.
Of course.
So
Well, they all want to sell,
yes.
but I don't get all the stuff that usually get at other trade show where they just keep banging you.
Yeah, I don't either.
I love to go for the workshops. I like to go to learn what the new technology is. I like to be a part of the community. And I've slowed down going to all the e-commerce ones because I mean, I've been doing this over 20 years. And you see
Mhm.
people online who are trying to teach people about selling online and being an e-commerce and Amazon seller and all these different things. And they think they've been on Amazon longer than anybody else and they're better than anybody else. And they say it's easy, and it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It isn't true. You have
Yeah.
to be somebody who has good habits, who is consistent. And so when people come up to me and they say, should I start an Amazon store? Should I open up an e-commerce store? I say, well, what are you selling?
Yeah.
Because I can do a little test for them to see if anything's going to, turn out before they go through all the, the craziness of trying to open up stores and build stores and do these things. If I put it on Amazon and it doesn't sell, I can really do these tests for people.
Yeah.
But what sells on Amazon is paying for advertising on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
I make deals with people that have good products that are low return ratio. And I say, I'm going to spend this much on ad spend, and I expect you to match it. And then they're like, okay, you're going to match it? Well, yes, that's co-op advertising. That's what we do. And if I don't believe in your product, well, then I'm obviously not going to contribute, my own finances to,
Yep.
but if I do believe in it, I will. But to be successful, you have to pay for advertising. That's what it comes down to. So when someone says it's easy,
There you go. Yep.
no, it's easy if you're advertising and spending a lot of money.
Yeah. Let me switch over to Robin.
Mm.
Okay. Robin, you're in the
Yes.
hot seat. What do you need? How can we help you?
Well, boy, it's been a whirlwind last 3 weeks. A lot going on, and I'm juggling a lot of balls, which is a positive because I haven't been in a long while. John Mitchell, I've been working with John, as you know, and it's been amazing. And I'm inundated with a lot of homework having to deliver for that. So that takes just a lot of hours.
Mhm.
I was out of town for a few days with meeting with a client, doing some coaching with them. That was positive.
Mhm.
And I've had a couple of friend calls, speakers that not paid coaching, but just helping each other out that have turned into long hours. But it's been invigorating for me as well to get back into that game. I had a great night with Rich the other night
Good.
on the podcast. That was fun. So it's just been a lot of busyness. I'm playing Jim tomorrow night at Uptown Blanco again.
Mhm.
Then I'm playing the following Saturday, the 6th, I think the 6th, for a festival in downtown Blanco, right behind Uptown Blanco. So that's kind of a fun thing in the afternoon. I'm not sure what all is going on, but I'm playing from, I think, 2 to 4. So juggling, speaking, coaching, or trying to get speaking, coaching, masterminds, playing music, dealing with my sweet, lovely wife and all the things that are going on with her. It's been a very busy time.
Yeah.
And here's the bad thing about that. I'm not getting completion on a number of things because of jumping from one thing to the other, which is exactly what John is, spanking me for. Not really spanking me, but that's the mantra, to get it done.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm really trying to get focused on. And so my main important thing is to get into the local companies, doing workshops, doing lunch and learns, not so much big keynotes, but lunch and learns. By the way, Jim, Victoria LeBom was here in San Antonio Sunday. So I
Wow.
spent Sunday with her. Sunday night, we had like a 5-hour dinner. And then on the phone much of the day, Monday night, because she had another keynote in Denver. She's just left St. Louis, having one today. She's on her way to Phoenix right now. She's been over here texting me because she's buying a bunch of equipment that I've recommended.
She's on a roll.
Blowing it up. She is on a roll. She's got 16 dates in 24. 16 dates out of 24. And
Wow.
it's a tour. She's going to Phoenix today, speaking tomorrow, but her husband is flying to meet in dinner in Phoenix because his daughter lives there. So they're going to have a chance to have a little family time, but she's on the road the whole time up until then. That's
Well,
crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That's crazy.
Well, I wish that kind of
So-
abundance for all of us.
Oh, don't you know? Don't you know? And Jody, you were talking about chat AI, the AI stuff. Boy, I've gone down the rabbit hole. Gone down the rabbit hole, man. Looking, not writing a book, not writing my speech, but just trying to get the topic. I mean, the title right. So I started experimenting a little bit, throwing some things out there, and boy, I was just got turned upside down. And
It's like TikTok. You're gone. It's like sucked right into it, right?
well, yeah. And then, we'll take this main title and move it with this subtitle. I work this around. So I came up, they sent me like 35 different variations as I was going through this, asking different questions. And then I narrowed it down to 20 and narrowed it down to the top 5, but they couldn't give me that. They gave me 10. Then I went to 5. Then I changed things around the 2. And then I was asking Victoria about it. Randy Pennington had called me about something else. I asked him about it. And so I'm getting, all these different things. I go, I'm going to call GM. No, I can't get anybody. I got to get out of my head. I got to get out of my head. So it's been pretty crazy.
Cool.
So
Well, send
Randy,
it to me
call
anyway.
back. I will. I'm going to. I was
Yeah.
teasing about it, but I was just going, oh my gosh. And then Randy called me a little while ago before I had a call with Victoria. And he said, okay, you got to move on. You got to get going. And I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will.
It's like Howard Putnam's book, Failure to Launch, Failure to Implement, FTI. Yeah, that's what it is. By the way,
so right now, what my biggest thing is, because I want to get back on the main stage again, certainly absolutely do. Being with Victoria again, I just go, gosh, I miss this. But that takes a time, just to lead time. And if I got booked today, it probably wouldn't be speaking for 3 or 4 months, but I needed to do it this next week. So I'm going into the companies, and you guys know that, trying to go in to do lunch and learns or sales meetings or things like that. And so Randy's right. I got to be very pragmatic about teaching tactics and takeaways versus the overarching entertainment side of the keynote. And so I'm trying to find, and Victoria was struggling with this in part of her situation because she's going to like 5 different audiences, 7 different audiences, industries in this keynote. And she's brilliant as a keynote speaker. But how do you customize for each one of those without losing? It's like the band going out. I've got, all my hit songs are my first 4 albums, but I got 6 albums after that. How do I manage my new show? Do I do all the new material, or do I do the legacy, hits that everyone loves, right? So trying to balance that. So I've got to make sure I'm hoping that I can have my keynote that it's also can be a workshop / breakout, being more tangible and tactical, but still having a lot of the same stories. I wouldn't use some that I would use.
Yeah. Well, let's talk. Let's helicopter up for a second, because now you're fighting all the animals at the ground level. Okay, so let's helicopter up and look at the savannah and see which animals are worth fighting at all.
Thank you.
I see you as a much bigger solution than you do. I see you as a person with amazing and fascinating experience and skills. So where I picture you on the stage is on the stage in, say, San Antonio or Austin, where the Chamber of Commerce or some group like that brings a big, diverse gathering together, or South by Southwest, name it, I see you on that stage being interviewed by their top leaders, the president, the executive director, whatever. And they're saying, oh, great one, tell us your wisdom. And you do have it. You are that person. I mean, you really are. Look at the depth and breadth and length of your experience. And here's just one simple illustration. Go back to this guy. That's Robin. 100 years ago.
I like the tie.
Seeking success. And here, all the people he had on his album, all the top names in the speaking business at the time. Yeah. Now, it's not just that he's got that, but he's a television producer. He's a musician who world class. I mean, Big Kids Table, hanging with the biggest names in the music business. So
Thank you.
you're the guy, you the man, and your opinion matters. Your opinion carries weight. And for you to be on somebody's program, whether it's just to be interviewed or to just show up and offer 15 minutes of comments and then sign autographs, or to just sit up there on stage and have all the prospective producers and entrepreneurs and everything come up and present their idea in front of you and get your observations. That alone is worth paying to be part of. So think of yourself as a bigger solution, and think of, if you want to stay regional, think of San Antonio and Austin as your bookends, and Dallas is easy because you've already got the contacts. But just think of those, and then throw Waco in the mix because you have to drive through there anyway, and start appearing on those programs, and be clear that you're available to help companies refine their message, or to help individuals who are aspiring leaders or entrepreneurs become much more persuasive and appealing in what they do. Jody?
I talk to a lot of C-level people, and so I know some of the major problems they're dealing with. One of the main things is, since everyone has left since 2020 and they're working from home and they've shut down their offices, their company culture is practically non-existent. The community that they once had, that was a great community that people looked forward to going to, even the ad agencies that I work with, everybody's on Zoom, and it's very casual, which is okay for ad, companies. But there's just no culture, there's no community, and they're just getting rid of people because they're not seeing their value, because people aren't able to prove their value because they're not in the office. People can't just easily come up to them and say, hey, I have a quick question for you. And people don't want to make phone calls, and no one answers phone calls. So I think
And
there's
you've got a, Robin, you have a message that fits
How
that.
do we bring them together? How do we have culture on video chat? How do we, and I think one of the main things is, every single day, Monday through Friday, everybody needs to log in at dark 30, whatever their start time is, and they need to be looking like they're going to talk to a client. So they start acting like they're about to talk to a client.
Exactly. Yeah.
And start really working together, even if they have to leave their video on all day like this, so they can feel like they're at the office. Because something's missing, and they're just firing people. And I've got a couple of CEOs, they're traveling and speaking. They don't even know what's going on in their companies, and their schedules are so busy they can't go check it out. Maybe you could be that guy who goes in, not an auditor, obviously, but somebody who goes in and inspires people, whether it's on video or in person, to get that culture back, get that fun back. You're fun, you're entertaining.
Yeah.
And these businesses, they're
That's
missing
true.
the whole culture.
And that's a good thought. When you look at Matthew McConaughey's role with the University of Texas, he's the ambassador of culture. That's not the exact title, but that's close to what they call him. And he said he wanted to be involved with the university, and they said, we do too. I'm not sure where to put you. And he said, well, let me be the guy that, that makes sure that the spirit of the University of Texas lives through all its various outlets. If you put corporate culture as one of the solutions that you are offering, it keeps you from doing workshops and becoming a trainer. And I don't want you to allow people to think of you as a leadership trainer, sales skill trainer. You're a more substantial solution than that. You're a player.
I don't want to be that guy, but thank you.
And first off, always position yourself as a seasoned executive, which you are.
Okay.
Always position yourself as a seasoned executive who's coming in to help you deal with vital issues like corporate culture, like Jody said. And Trigger, you had something to say just a second?
Yeah, actually, I've done some of that type of work, Jody, and you're actually absolutely right. I met with a guy, talked with a guy who he was brought in as a new CEO during a pandemic to reshape the culture.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 8 months into it, and he said a light bulb went off. I've been here. I'm changing the culture. I've never shaken a hand with anyone outside of my own backyard. Like 5 people actually work locally. He said, but my top lieutenants, my top people, I've never met them face to face, and I have no stinking idea what I'm doing.
Yep.
And he's like, I was hired to fix it. And now he's realizing I'm making this crap up too.
you go.
It's
Yeah,
a huge
all-
issue. It's a big issue.
Yeah, even even in a like NSA now is dispersed around the country.
Yes.
They come together at the conventions, and so there is flesh to flesh time. When people are shaking hands and sharing meals and things like that. But I don't want to drill down into the techniques of. I want to talk about the strategy and the positioning, because
Please.
I believe Robin needs to upgrade Robin on the inside.
That's exactly, no
with
doubt.
no new skills, no new knowledge, just a different way of interpreting who you are to the world and ought to be to the world. Because, I mean, name your big deal person out there, Bill Gates. Would Bill Gates benefit? Could he actually justify the expenditure to say, pay $100,000 to you to just come spend a week with him touring Microsoft's various divisions and offering observations and recommendations at the end? Absolutely. Would he
That's
be getting
interesting.
good value for his money? Totally. Could you and Elon Musk have a fascinating discussion that was not about you asking him questions? I mean, where you were
That's
actually
interesting.
sharing points of view. Yeah, you could. You're that substantial. You're not that rich, but you're that substantial. So recalibrate.
Yeah, that's exactly the hard part. And I was talking to Rich, we were on the podcast the other night. I'm teaching all this stuff, and I told him, and I told him on the podcast, I can't coach myself. Most of us can't really coach ourselves. A lot of us can, at least. And but I have the blind spot. And having been out of the picture, and I just didn't. I mean, we came down here. We're basically semi-retired for 3 years. Then my family started getting sick, and my parents both passed away. Everything exploded, and I was just totally not involved in anything. And it got tiresome. And then all of a sudden COVID hit. Of course, we know the situation, and then beyond then, and I just hadn't gotten back in the game. And so the total confidence has been damaged.
Yep.
And I've never been a person to be able to promote myself well enough. I don't want to brag. Brag's the wrong word. I don't want to pat myself on the back and say all those things. When Larry Wing and Vic Osteen took on me as as he was my manager, and they put me into basically a lot of Larry's slots that Larry didn't want to do. They didn't have the budget for Larry, but I would go and I would do that. He booked me out for almost 3 years, and I was booked like crazy.
Wow.
But I didn't have to go and say what you just said about me.
Yeah.
I didn't, and not that all that would be true, but I didn't have to make those introductions. Now I'm at a point where, okay, I don't have anyone representing me. I'm not with bureaus right now. And so knocking on those doors outside of having a few advocates that can introduce me to a VP or to a CEO or someone like that could bring me in, I'm cold calling.
Yeah.
And Jody, what you were talking about a minute ago,
By the way,
that's hard to do.
Lose the term. It's only a cold call if you make it cold or warm or whatever. It's the new call. You're new calling or first calling, but you're never cold calling unless you choose to be.
That's good. And, Michelle wants to help me with the podcast to offset that by not going to trying to get through the gatekeeper, but using the gatekeeper to book the CEO or whoever to come on my podcast. That's a smart way to do it. But there's a lot of getting ready to begin, to get started, get ready to go do that with all these other things I've just mentioned earlier, I'm just not accomplishing anything. So
you remember,
I got to do something quickly.
Remember New York City, NSA Rocks?
Yep.
And Kevin Cronin and all that?
Yes,
and
sir.
you orchestrated all that.
Yes, sir.
Not all of it, but a lot of it, right? You're the guy that pulled together the names, and put together a lot of the concepts. Do that for companies.
Yep.
Add that to your mix. Yeah, Jody, you had a comment.
Yes, I'm wondering if there's a directory somewhere where you can find I guess maybe just MLS directories or something where you can find what companies have downgraded their buildings dramatically.
Hmm.
And those are the ones who have people
Hmm.
that are working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
And then say, your people are remote, they could be so much more productive if you do whatever you fill in the blank, Robin, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Good.
I know a lot
That's
that
good
have cut by
thought.
2/3. They're tiny now and they're disconnected and it's not going well. They're freaking out. They're really not doing well.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I
we
was
need-
teaching virtual presentations for a while and certainly have talked about culture because good news about my career, I was blessed to be in great teams, great small organizations that there was family and we worked together for years and years. So I understand not so much for a, 30,000 employee culture, but the smaller business cultures for sure. I love talking about that.
I've
Go ahead,
got a
Jim, you're gonna
thought
say
for you,
something?
Robin.
Okay.
Consider putting on some Zoom calls like this where you bring in your 2 or 3 power connections, and the Zoom call is a problem-solving Zoom call for the people who subscribe. And so you're able to do it from home, but you bring in the weight that you're able to access, and you contact the companies you were going to be contacting, but tell them, look, I'm doing this, and I'd like to invite you to be one of the people in the featured hot seat, so to speak. And there's a very small fee for that. And then if you want to go further with it, there's a larger fee because we get involved with you more in depth with research and all that. But this is entry level. But if you've got an entry level it's cool and it's exclusive, and the people have to do something, whether it's pay a small amount of money or fill out a questionnaire or something to get involved, then they've paid their part to be a participant. Jody, and then we need to wrap up. Okay, go ahead.
I did a ton of Zooms over 2020. And since then, and after a while, people started getting burnt on Zoom. They really didn't want to participate. And the Zooms that I found, I got the greatest participation was when everybody received a care package in advance. They weren't supposed to open it until the actual Zoom. And each person had a responsibility during the Zoom. So that way they had to prepare in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And show up prepared. And it made all of the meetings so much better than they ever could have been. And the unboxing was exciting and fun. And some of the stuff was just random stuff, but it was exciting. It made people interested. They were curious. They wanted to see what other people were bringing to the table.
Yeah.
So sometimes, just unboxing things can be just a reason to show up and have fun.
That's a
Well, let
great
me take
idea,
that-
Trigger.
Let me take that to the next level, because this is another trick that I've learned is, Robin, if you do those corporate settings where they are, a bunch of them are in one huddle and another, so you have bunches all collected together, kind of like you guys did virtually for us. Send them a care package in advance, and whoever running the room is the only one that knows about the care package. When you open it up, and after a while, you're saying, okay, we're going to open up for Q&A. People start sharing ideas. Jody had the best idea today. Robin, reach in the box and pull out the rubber ducky. And Jody gets the rubber ducky award. And Jody will keep this and remember that day, because it grafts back to the laugh, the jokes, the fun. And you have other things in the box that other people win other awards, but it's the surprise box that breaks the glass from virtual to groups, and you now own them
And also
in a whole nother
physical.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
That's good.
Well,
I
let
like
me
that as
tell you,
well.
just in wrapping this together, when I chose to become more of a mentor than a keynoter, more frequently a mentor than a keynoter, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to connect with people in this kind of a way and be able to regularly connect with the people I enjoy being with, talking about things that matter, right? Making a difference for them and for me. And it worked. I love this forum. I love the fact that you're in it, because everybody in the group has said to me at one time or another, wow, I got so much from him or her, and not just Jim as the guru, but Jim as the facilitator. of a group of pretty powerful people coming together and sharing ideas and being supportive to each other in this culture. And that sort of reinforces what Jody was saying and what you could do, Robin, in helping organizations grow the kind
like
of
that.
culture where learning and support and encouragement and creativity and innovation and all that is just a natural bubble to the top. So Laurie wasn't able to join us today, and Julie either, but I know both of them have got their focus and they're on the target. But I want to thank them and thank Brian Orton and the others that have been involved, because we've had a heck of a team. And it starts
Yeah,
up
we have.
again on May the 12th with a new group. And for those of you in this group, the ones watching this as well as the ones currently present, if you're going to NSA, then you're in for my cohort that's going through NSA. I may have some new people that have signed up to be in that, but your legacy brings you in as part of that because you're on site with me. And so I'll be holding a gathering probably at breakfast or something each day of NSA to be able to answer the questions, give guidance, and get feedback. And then after it's over, I'm going to be, deprogramming or processing all that with the people that are enrolled. But certainly on site, you're in. Okay. Don't hesitate to continue to send me an email or a text or something if you've got a question, and I'll see you on the other side. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, Jim. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jody.